Woo! What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Transparency. How we feeling tonight? It's a Saturday. You guys usually catch me on a Saturday, but it was special. I want to do it for you guys. So this one is for all the To the Transparency fans. Let's do it.
Spoke to News Nation's Ashley Banfield, and this wasn't just about how heartbroken she is or even about the suspect, Brian Kohberger. No, she has a bizarre connection to Kohberger's lawyer that should really lead to a lot of questions. Kohberger's public defender, Ann Taylor, who we've seen in court with Kohberger, withdrew as the lawyer for Kara Northington, Xana's mother, when she agreed to take the Kohberger case. Yes, Kohberger's lawyer withdrew from her case to defend the man accused of killing her daughter.
Remember how stupid these motherfuckers were? Welcome to the Transparency. You guys remember how crazy this stuff was? You guys remember how crazy this was? Let's take a look again how crazy this was. The shit we would hear. Can't beat it. Come on in. Let's do this. Come on in. Let's do this. Absolutely fucking idiotic.
And this wasn't just about how heartbroken she is or even about the suspect, Brian Kohberger. No, she has a bizarre connection to Kohberger's lawyer that should really lead to a lot of questions. Kohberger's public defender, Ann Taylor, who we've seen in court with Kohberger, withdrew as the lawyer for Kara Northington, Xana's mother, when she agreed to take the Kohberger case. Yes, Kohberger's lawyer withdrew from her case to defend the man accused of killing her daughter.
Remember when I said that Ann Taylor gets trolled by mainstream media when they air an unvetted story that featured one of the victim's mothers? Do you guys remember that shit? Yeah. Like immediately when it happened, I said, this is absolutely fucking crazy. What's up, baby? Ann Taylor in the house.
Controlled substance. Taylor withdrew on January 5th, the day a judge appointed her as Kohberger's public defender for the murders of Xana, Madison, Kaylee, and Ethan. Now, Xana's mom spoke with Ashley about how she felt learning the news that her attorney had sort of switched sides, so to speak.
You know, Ann Taylor likes to hit that shit. Woo!
I'm heartbroken because I trusted her.
That shit up in that motherfucker. Woo! They are the most incompetent people. I'm telling you, that is still true. And you guys, we heard it's true. We had Maury and Payne taking the stand, not knowing and not giving a fuck. You in danger, girl. It ain't Ann Taylor, though, that's in danger. Ashley Jennings, I think, is in some serious danger. Again, welcome. Come on in. Sorry, guys. This was supposed to happen on Thursday night. I had some really important shit to attend to. So I do apologize that this is happening on Saturday. And it's really affected my tan base here. But I threw out my hair for all of you people that love it. Now, let's talk some more about the craziness of crazy. Yes, I've been jonesing for TNT. Well, then let's make it rain in here. I feel like buying myself a couple lap dances tonight. So we can put them on your Cash App. If you buy me a lap dance, I will record it for you. Ha ha ha, Lana, you're so funny. See what else we got here.
Hail this geniuses.
Hail this. Wait, what was that? You guys like how I fucking make these videos?
Dan, there's so much in this case that we don't know. Just a month ago, we were saying that the Moscow Police Department was the most incompetent police department in the country, and then a month later, hailed as geniuses. Let's let the process work.
I guess
complaining about.
Look at him cutting him
I was
off.
taking mom at her word. I'm so sorry we didn't get more time with you. Thanks for joining us.
Look at him cutting him off. What a cocksucker. I probably said something about it. Oh, that's right. When people don't fit your agenda, your narrative, they are silenced. Xana's mom flat out lied. MSM either knew it and still ran with it or did not vet their own source. Either way, I'm not sure what's worse. It would never happen on this channel. Woo. You guys, this is from a year ago, I think. Ann Taylor and backseat Bill Thompson agreed to pushing the preliminary hearing to a date in late June of 2023. We know why that didn't happen, right? During January to May of 2023, Ann Taylor was pleading with backseat Bill Thompson and Judge to get their hands on the discovery that actually mattered in this case. The discovery that law enforcement used to focus and build a case against Brian Kohberger. I made this video over a year and a half ago. We still saying the same motherfucking shit, man. Like literally saying the same thing. Can we get what y'all build the case off of? Can we get that? Ann Taylor is no stranger to the law enforcement corruption in Idaho. Like legit. Law enforcement's inability to investigate without tunnel vision or sloppy, loose-ended work product. Yes, loose lip, they do sink ships. So much so that she immediately went out to the crime scene and hired experts as well as a private investigator, right? You guys remember that? For example, December 9th, 2022, 1122 King Road. Here's your example.
Less than an hour ago, we were here and about 5 plainclothes investigators, we don't know if they're local, state, federal, they were inside and we saw a lot of activity inside the home and the home was lit up. So we were able to peek in some of the windows, but we saw those men inside the home in the 2 particular rooms where the murders took place. We did not see them leaving with any materials. I asked them a couple of times, why are they back? They did not answer.
Question for you guys. Whoever said that the people that went into this house, what was it, 12-9? Was it 12-9? When was this?
Answer me. They pulled away in 2 vehicles. One had a Washington state plate. The other had an Idaho plate.
She about to say Ohio. She's already watching my channel.
But that is all we can tell you. But we did see a lot of activity. This house was.
Look at them blurring that out. Look at them blurring that out.
Lit up for nearly an
Look at them blurring the one down there out.
hour. They were inside. We don't know why.
Look at them blurring that out.
Nothing seemed to be removed. But as you know, Ashley, yesterday, a lot of the kids' belongings were removed by
1 vehicle, 2 vehicle. Wait, what did you say? Yesterday, a lot of the material was removed from the house.
Moscow police to be returned to their families.
And guess what? We heard that it didn't get returned. It went to a storage unit, people. It didn't get returned. They went to a storage unit, okay?
So I'm just watching these guys as they're walking by you. Were you asking them questions and were they effectively just ignoring
Yes.
you? Did they say hello? Did they say
Yes.
anything at all?
Look at him. He's so pissed he can't open up that fucking door.
Not a peep. And I asked them specifically, why are you here tonight? Why are you here tonight? They did not acknowledge me. So certainly they.
Who put those? See, like, this is how weird I am, guys, but it's actually not weird. I'm just really like, I pay attention. Let's take a look at what I saw in this.
Not
I
a
want to
peep.
know.
And I asked them specifically,
He couldn't open the door.
why are you here
She thought that there was only 2 vehicles. There was literally 3.
tonight? Why are you here tonight?
Right there. Who put those garbage cans out? Who put those garbage cans out? Whose garbage cans are those? I want to know whose garbage cans those are. Who put those garbage cans out? When were they put out?
They did not acknowledge me. So certainly they were on a mission and they left.
They were on a mission from God. Okay. Okay. You guys, look at how lit up that is. Think about this. Brian Kohberger, or the killer, walking from Xana's room. Right there is that little tiny space before you have to make that right, or you have to go upstairs, or you got to make that left into Dylan's room. Okay. Look at how lit up that is. The killer didn't see Dylan open up the door. Dylan didn't see, fuck what Dylan saw. The killer didn't see that door open up and go in there and just plow on through. If you guys think that for a second that lit up is from the neon light, that's the good vibes light up. That was lit up. Okay.
left without saying a word.
So, Nancy, I just want to point out the video that we're seeing right now. Let's.
Oopsie, sorry. Shitballs. My laptop got a little water on it. Hold on a second.
Blow this up full because, and let's replay that if we can too. This is the investigators walking out of the kitchen area into a hallway and then walking towards the living room. So there they are. It looks like they're emerging from the kitchen area, walking towards the front of the house.
Wait, okay, did you guys see where they just made? Look at how quick you make that turn. I want you to see, watch where these dudes are coming from. Watch that little area.
Not a peep. And I asked them specifically, why are you here tonight? Why are you here tonight? They did not acknowledge me. So certainly they were on a mission and they left without saying
just turning
a word.
right there.
So, Nancy,
Turning
I just
right there.
want to point out the video that we're seeing right now. Let's blow this up full because, and let's replay that if we can too. This is the investigators walking out of the kitchen area
Look at it's so
into
small.
a hallway
Like,
and then
boom, right
walking
there.
towards the living room. So there they are. It looks like they're emerging from the kitchen area, walking towards the front of the house.
Literally where the kitchen area is, right across from that, is Dylan's opening to her door. Allegedly. Okay, that's her bedroom, right? Which I believe it is. You're going to tell me in that little space right there, that's where it all would have went down. That's where, if in fact somebody opened the door from where Dylan was in that room, I'm sorry, but they would have been murdered. They gone. There's no fucking way this killer doesn't see and know that that door is a bedroom and doesn't attempt to go in there and slash it for days, especially if the door is opening 3 different occasions. That's what you want me to believe. That is not fucking possible. But you know what? If Ann Taylor doesn't use this to remind the jury of how close that is to truly get that feel, this is the best view of truly that feel. Like to like be there and to think that this killer, that's where Dylan would have saw this killer, and that door would have been open. And with the light that's lighting up this area, you're not hiding. Also think about this. Why would Dylan ever think to open up the door and like peek out? If you hear somebody crying, you just open up the door and you're just at it for days. Like you just walk out the door. Why would anybody open up the door and peek out if there's nothing to be scared of? Especially if you're pissed because you think people are being loud. So you don't open the door and like peek out like a crack. Because the question to Dylan's going to be, why were you scared? Why would you open the door only a crack? You don't open the door a crack. You open up the door. You just open it up one time. Then you would open it up a second time. Then you open it up a third time. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that you only opened it up a crack, that means that you were already scared. You were already in fear. And so we're going to talk about what went on in the house before you went to bed, that you would be in fear of whoever could have been in that home. But nobody I've never in college opened up my door like this in my college home. I've never opened up my bedroom door at home like this. Why would you open up your door in that type of manner? You would have to have a reason. And that reason would be that you knew who was in there and that you were scared about something. You're not going to be scared that Kaylee is playing with the dog upstairs. That's not going to scare you. Especially if someone says, there's somebody here. Like, okay, there's somebody here. That's what I say when somebody comes to the door and rings the doorbell. That's what I say when somebody comes to the door and knocks on the door. That's what I say when I see a car outside my house and I'm by a window and I say somebody's here. I don't say somebody's here after somebody's inside my home. I've never said somebody's here when I'm staring at the person that's inside my home, I say, oh my God, Jack's here. Oh my God, Bob's here. Oh my God, Sarah, what are you doing? Oh my God, Sarah's here.
That grassy sign that's on the wall right there, that's the good vibes sign. There's actually 2 of those.
Yep.
December 7th, 2022, public hears about White Elantra. December 9th, active crime scene invasion with cowboys. But why does anyone, I don't want to pass that up yet. Hold on. But why does anyone need to go into that home 25 days later? There were 4,000 crime scene photos taken with measurements, right? Again, December 7th, 2022, the public, we hear about the White Elantra that's supposedly a 2011, 2013, and they want our help. 2 days later, active crime scene invasion with cowboys. But why does anyone need to go into that home 25 days later? There were 4,000 crime scene photos taken with measurements, right?
Maybe an FBI field office from the Idaho area. But did you ask if in the game it just screams FBI to me, and maybe an FBI field office that.
Well, Ashley Banfield always seems to have a little birdie. Ashley Banfield always seems to have a little birdie. Think about it. Ashley Banfield has some, and I think same with, we'll just leave it at that. Ashley Banfield always seems to have a little birdie. She said this screams FBI to her, right? This screams FBI to her.
Partially from Washington, maybe an FBI field office from the Idaho area. But did you?
Something from the Washington area, something from the Idaho area. Think about this. Something from the Washington area, something from the Idaho area. Oh, lo and behold, they arrest somebody living in Washington, right?
Ask if they were from FBI or what jurisdiction, and they just said, nothing to see here?
Yeah, they would not. They would give me nothing. And I did call Moscow police. No answer, no response. So no explanation for any of this. They were clearly inside on a mission.
25 days.
Now, don't you think it's interesting? I mean, unless this is horrible, horrible, horrible footage, why aren't we talking about the fact that who let these motherfuckers in? They weren't taken there by the local law enforcement. Like, who there is local law enforcement? This was an active case, and it was the Moscow Police Department's case. So who's letting you in this house? Who opened the door? Who opened the door for these people? Who's there? Who's there with these people? I mean, unbelievable to me. Unbelievable that you're going to sit here and tell me that News Nation is sitting outside this motherfucker, and they don't think, I know for a fact News Nation knows who these people were, because they may have blurred out those license plates for you, me, the world. If you think for a second that News Nation didn't run those plates, y'all are crazy. They know exactly who those people are. I hope that Ann Taylor asks for the whole roll of this, because this is just B footage for us. They have a lot more footage. No doubt about it. And I hope that Ann Taylor puts in a motion, just like Lally tried to do with the whole Karen Reed case, trying to get Karen Reed's whole entire interview with I think she with Boston Globe or some shit, whatever. But this is like the OJ Simpson case, kind of like reincarnated all these years later. But I would want to know, if this is my life on the line and I was arrested, I want to know who the fuck went in this house. Because y'all are saying that you got my DNA. And I'm saying I wasn't there. And I'm saying I didn't go in that house. So, and y'all went in this house. Who the hell are these people? But, I mean, who are these people? We're going to find out one day, I promise you, who these people are. But I already know that they know.
Days of processing a crime scene, to me, it's something I haven't really seen, unless it's, you know, a massive school shooting. That could take 25 days because there's just so many victims and so much territory and so many markings. This one is a really unusual.
Okay, take a look there. I caught something else I want you guys to see. They shut off a light. They shut off the light. Okay, I want you to take a look right here when they leave.
No explanation for any of this, but they were clearly inside on a mission.
I mean, 25 days of processing a crime scene, to me, it's something I haven't really seen, unless it's, you know, a massive school shooting. That could take 25 days because there's just so many victims and so much.
Right there. Look at that. Do you see that up there? That light? Boom. We can't see it anymore, right? So the light's off. So the light was on. Now it looks black in there, right? Or is it just the angle? I have no idea. But I can tell you that I don't think that anybody should be fucking around with shit. If you want to go to that place, I don't know. I'd have a problem with it. It was my life on the line. Shit, I got a problem when you say that I didn't, I don't know, take your lunch money.
Territory and so many markings. This one is a really unusual complexity. I can only think it's because there's just so many samples in that house over the years and over the times that the kids have been there that they just, I'm still shocked they only have 113 pieces of evidence. Nancy, thank you for getting that video.
Absolutely, Ashley. I'm still shocked they only have 113 pieces of evidence. That's evidence that went to the lab. Technically, that's 113 pieces that went to the lab. So I just want to make sure we understands that.
And for being the eagle eye and spotting that. Really do appreciate it. Thanks so much.
And we should point out that a lot of the forensic evidence went to the state lab, and that is still being tested. You know, the blood is the blood mixed DNA, is the killer's DNA being tested. So there's a lot of information and evidence that's being tested now. And the Moscow Police Department kept stressing that, you know, we're not releasing a lot of information because we're protecting the integrity of the investigation, a term we keep hearing. So,
wait, what did you just say? You're not releasing Wait, excuse. Hold on one second. Wait, what did you just?
There's a lot of information and evidence that's being tested now. And the Moscow Police Department kept stressing that, you know, we're not releasing a lot of information because we're protecting the integrity of the investigation.
So they thought that protecting the integrity of the investigation is to not release information, but let's lie to the public. Let's lie to the public and tell everybody that Dylan was sleeping in the downstairs room. That's protecting the integrity of the investigation. Let's lie and say that we're looking for a 2011, 2013 Honda Elantra, but then it changes to a 2011, 2016, but we're not going to the public with that. Yeah.
We keep hearing. So
no, you flooded your own tip line is what you did.
A lot of
understandable.
Law enforcement was building their case, one without any notes, memos, and work product. Wow! You guys, they were building their case without any notes, memos, and work product. Just remember that. Fucking wait. Now, let me show you my case, the one I have built with common sense, logic, and the documents that we have all been given to include all of the sources and info that has been published to date. Okay? Okay. What you got for us, Lana? First, Brian's cell phone number. Why and how did he get a Washington number when he got a new phone number in June, allegedly, in Pennsylvania before he left for Washington? Why not keep the same number? I can see a new phone, but a new account. New phone, who dis? Are we sure the PCA phone for Brian isn't a work-issued phone? Remember I said that? According to the PCA, they only searched that number because that is what he gave to law enforcement on a traffic stop. Couldn't Brian have more than one phone, especially if one was a work phone? If Brian is so smart and so I'm gonna go kill a motherfucker or four, you're going to give your number on a ticket? Why wouldn't you just give a fake number? If they're just asking you like, hey, what's your number? Just screw one of them up. Who cares? If he went there and he knows, hey, I came out here to kill a motherfucker, I'm just gonna give them my number. I find that really, really hard to believe. So where'd I go next? Okay. So 11/13/2022 is the crime. 11/14/2022 is the canvassing, interviewing. They're at the crime scene. Everyone's in shock. They took evidence to the ISP lab. 11/15/2022, still no search warrants issued. 11/16/2022, first press conference and first search warrants, Facebook, Insta, and cell towers. 11/17, nobody does anything as far as paperwork. 11/18/2022, they received the Linda Lane and ring and camera footage and note it and glance at it per the defense's paperwork when they filed. All right, guys, welcome to the transparency. The PCA that we have known and can probably recite inside and out, yes, are things in there, events that took place, absolutely. But is that a chronological order of how they went about this case? Absolutely not. And in fact, oh shit, Lana, you a genius, motherfucker! When did you make this video, girl? Shit, I don't know, like over a year ago. Oh, so you knew a year ago that there's no way that this was the chronological order? Yeah, I knew it. I knew that this was not done chronologically, as it should normally be when you see a PCA. It goes in chronological order. And I knew then it wasn't in chronological order. Oh, hot damn, girl. How'd you know that shit? Fuck. Let's see what I say. Today, I'm putting out the PCA and the way that they actually went about finding Brian Kohberger and being able to. Ooh. So I'm going to tell you. Somebody want to call Ann Taylor to work backwards once given a name. So they were given a name and how you would work backwards to get a name. So between 11/20 and 11/24, Brian Kohberger's name was given by whoever allegedly did this IGG work. Okay, 11/20, 11/24. There wasn't any work ever done. If they just went ahead and said there was work done, they were going to hide behind that. And then, just go ahead and say, here, this is the person, by submitting a tip, by just saying, look into this person. We did IGG on it, but you can't talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And that is so evident if you pay attention to search warrants that were what? What did she say? Search warrants? Oh, fuck, Lana. What has been going on in court with the Brian Kohberger case? Ann Taylor puts Brett Payne up there, puts Mowry up there, and says, we want to talk about these search warrants performed between 11/16 and 11/23. Once 11/25 hits, the day after Thanksgiving, the investigation moves and is done in a completely different fashion. Oh, fuck! Oh, shit! She did it. She did. Fuck no. All right, so let's take a look. Here it is. Brian Kohberger's name is given up by the tip, and then So this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that Brian Kohberger's name is given up by the tip between and they decided, okay, obviously we're gonna go ahead and Google this name. What's about him? Okay, he goes, he's a PhD student at, obviously Washington. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put out, well, what does he drive? When you Google his name, you're gonna come up with, okay, this is who he is. We're gonna run him through our database. Okay, he was pulled over in Washington. He was pulled over here. We're gonna watch the body cams. All right, we're going to get his name. We're going to get his number through the body cams. We're going to see if anybody else was riding with him. We're going to start, looking on his, Insta, Facebook, all this stuff. Everything that allegedly an IGG person would have done, okay? And would have been handing to them. Okay, because if you're going to do a tip and you just say, okay, the name Brian Kohberger, like, who is he? How is he connected to anybody in this game? You got to do some type of, you got to start searching this person. Okay, why should we be looking into him? We're over here supposed to be focused on boyfriends and girlfriends and family and tight-knit circles. But you want us to focus in on this Brian Kohberger guy. You gave it to... And basically what I'm showing here is I'm showing that they went immediately into looking into who bought knives. Who bought knives? We're going to get search warrants on Amazon, Walmart. I said, Walmart? I said, I didn't even know fucking Walmart sold knives. All right. Walmart, Blue Ridge knives, eBay. Okay. We're going to try to look and see how many knives of this were bought in these different states. And one of them was Pennsylvania. Us because you said it was a hit on the sheath. Okay. So then, but you got to work yourself backwards because you're not going to be able to use us. So how can we put a piece? Oh, wait, what did I just say there? Oh, wait, what did I just say there? Hold on. That was important. Okay. And would have been handing to them. Okay. Because if you're going to do a tip, if you just say, okay, the name Brian Kohberger, who is he? How is he connected to anybody in this game? You got to do some type of you got to start searching this person. Okay. Why should we be looking into him? We're over here supposed to be focused on boyfriends and girlfriends and family and tight-knit circles. But you want us to focus in on this Brian Kohberger guy. You gave it to us because you said it was a hit on the sheath. Okay. So then, but you got to work yourself backwards because you're not going to be able to use us. So how can we put a PCA together to hide the fact on how to hide the fact that we violated all of America's rights, use this loophole, if and in fact we even used a loophole versus just go ahead and framing somebody. But what I mean by that is they can just say they did IGG, using IGG as this front, okay? But they really didn't use IGG, okay? And that they would never have to turn over any of their work, okay? So versus coughing up, this could be a frame job, or we're not going to cough up this confidential informant, because it's a single person. Let's just say that we did IGG, but we really didn't. And so this was me spitballing. How are we going to hide the fact that we allegedly used IGG, violated all of America's rights with this privacy, and that we did not cough up our names to be included in the law enforcement kits? And that's exactly what they're claiming happened, that they used the loophole. I'm still questioning if they even used IGG, and I'll tell you why down the road. How can we do this and it look like it's legit? Working backwards. Well, how I was able to realize all of this is because of the way that the investigation was going, and then all of a sudden you're going and you're hammering the knife. Okay, we didn't know this in real time. We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. Once we were able to get all the search warrants, I put it together, and you can follow and see why and where they were headed. And immediately they went for these knives. The Amazon, we want all the knife information on this specific, brand and sheath and all that stuff. The date that they... Point being is that you guys know how many knives would have been bought? Do you guys want to know how many knives would have been bought on eBay? Do you guys know how many knives would have been bought on Amazon? You guys know how many knives would have been bought on Blue Ridge knives? Then you went to K-Bar, okay? And let's just see if it matches to Brian Kohberger's name. Okay? What the fuck? And this is what Anne's going to get at. Anne's going to get at the fact that, okay, you did all of this shit. This is what you did off the rip. Look at 1129 warrant for K-Bar. 1129. They didn't even did it. 1129. You know what that day is, guys? That's the day that they had what? That's the day that they had Brian Kohberger's name and the car make and model of his. Okay. 1129, the same day, I obtained an amended, you know what amended means? That means that you already tried to put one in and it may have went through and all things are good. But then based on what you got back, then you amended it because off of what you got. Now I need it again, but now I need to ask for this based off of what I just got back from that. Okay. Also, you could amend a search warrant because it wasn't granted to you. So I could amend it so that it gets granted to me. All right. Those are your two things that you're looking at there. That's so on 11/29, 2022, I obtained an amended search warrant for K-Bar. 11/29/2022. That is the day that Brian Kohberger's car is found by two separate WSU campus officers within 20 minutes of each other, literally right after the clock strikes 12. So it was like 11:28 going into 11:29. And it's also the same day that all 5 vehicles that were parked at the house get moved to a new secure location. Just so you guys are following me with. So 11:29, that's what's happening. Okay, 11:26. That could have been bought anywhere. You know, that could have been a pawn. But here, that's what they're focused in on. Then they wait until they get that. On December 12th, 2022, I obtained a search warrant for Blue Ridge Knives. Why? That return back, which is 12 and 12/16, so it comes back in 4 days. Meanwhile, they got the AT&T warrant that they did. It's going to totally fuck their asses. They said that they got this back literally within like freaking hour. I have done and called AT&T like fucking crazy person. And AT&T does all of their shit in Eastern Standard Time. Okay? Do you guys know Idaho's on West Coast time? Okay. So I want to know who was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, because that would be 9 a.m. East Coast time. Okay. Who is getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to, hey, we can get on this right in the morning, right when they open up. So you need to get in here at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, we're going to have this guy do it. But based on the times that they would get stuff back, you have to consider it. You have to consider the East Coast time. And it's really, really important. And it's going to come full circle here really, really soon on how important it is. Because the shit that they say that they did is going to come out and blow their dicks out of the water. Like, bad. Like, poof, you guys are fucked. Because there's no time. There's no time that you could have done what you said you did, Nick and Payne. Y'all didn't take no loops around. You guys didn't do no, you guys lied. You already knew what you were going for, and that was to railroad somebody. Okay? You weren't investigating. You were building a case against somebody. You weren't letting it lead you anywhere. Okay? You had confirmation bias 100% out the gate, period. Look up the word confirmation bias, because once you read the definition, then you're like, because people may think they know what confirmation bias is. Read it. Read the definition. Confirmation bias is really, really important. That's what this case has written all over it, is confirmation bias. 8. After they do Amazon, they go to K-Bar itself, on 11/29. Then the big thing that they do is that they know what vehicle Brian Kohberger drives. So we're going to go and tell Washington that we're on the lookout for that type of vehicle, we'll get these, detectives / campus security people just helping out, not realizing what the heck we're doing. Then they'll bring us yet another tip in. Yep, here we came across this, and they're going to be connecting our dots for us, and everyone's just going to think that we're doing police work here. Nothing to see. That's exactly what we all thought until Payne just testified and said, I never talked to that dude. I didn't even know that he put in, I never got those tips. I never knew those tips existed. Wait, you did not know that WSU police officers, they didn't just call you directly. They didn't just call Moscow. Hey, this is so-and-so, badge, whatever. I didn't say badge. I said badge. You guys said you were looking for a white Honda Elantra. You told us to be on the lookout. Well, here you go. I found one. Just wanted to give it to you. Like, what law enforcement goes through a tip line to turn in their tip? I've never heard of such a thing. Have you guys heard of such a thing? Tell me when the last time a cop puts in a tip through a tip line. You want me to believe that shit? I mean, I get it. Maybe Mary, who's knitting for the past 20 years on her sofa, is going to believe that shit. But they need to make sure they don't have Marys on the stand that knit. They don't need to have farmers on the stand that farm all day. Because anybody that has a little bit of a brain, watches television, and can operate technology would never think that a police officer is going to put a tip through a tip line. Maybe just the tip in the bedroom, but it's not just the tip here. So let me break that down for you one more time. On 11/26, they go and obtain a search warrant for Amazon, and they want specifically this knife product, this sheath, and they want any purchases, anybody that has purchased this knife and sheath during the different periods of time that they're asking for. They then have to wait for those returns to come in. While they are waiting for those returns to come in, the day before 11/26, they put on a be out on the lookout on 11/25 for a white Hyundai Elantra, 2011 to 2013. But they tell the public the 2011 to 2013. They do not get the date wrong with law enforcement because in the PCA, they say that they just told Washington on 11/25 just to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras. They did not give. That is so important, and I hope to God Ann Taylor is listening. In the PCA, they claim in the PCA that they told Washington that they were just looking for a white Honda Elantra. They didn't say in the PCA that we told Washington 2011 to 2013. This is why Payne stuttered when he had to answer Ann's question, which was, the question I'm asking you, Officer Payne, Detective Payne, is where's the report? Where's anything that has to do with the change in the year of the Elantra? Because I now know for a fact that Ann asking that is proving that I've been right this whole motherfucking time, which is, wait a second. Wait a second. They never changed it with the public, but in the PCA they just told Washington, hey, we're just looking for a white Honda Elantra. We didn't give a year. And Payne couldn't answer it. Stuttered. He stuttered like Fat Joe. Do you guys know that song? Download it. Let's see. Download it. Anyways, when did you change the year of the vehicle? And it's all going to come out, you guys. It's all going to come out that the year changed after Brian Kohberger, his name, them knowing that he had a white Honda Elantra in 2000 that was made in 2015. And the reason Payne said on the motherfucking stand, I did never talk to him, I did not even know that tip existed, is because that's the evidence that can easily tie Payne and the rest of the crew from knowing that they changed the year after they knew that Brian Kohberger had a 2015 white Honda Elantra. He testified, Payne, to not knowing about that tip until December 20th, 19th, something crazy like that. Are you fucking kidding me? That's pure insanity. But if you think that I'm going to believe that, I'm not. But you know what sucks is that if it's up. And wait, where are any of these reports from the actual goddamn expert that says, wait a second, you brought this back to me and I now change it and I'm going to extend it from 2011, 2016. Anne was asking all of these questions just at the end of May. How the fuck does Ann Taylor not have these answers? Why is she even needing to ask these questions? And if people think that this is okay, I don't care if Brian Kohberger is guilty. None of this, though, is okay. If he's so fucking guilty, what's your problem? Dan Moore is so fucking innocent. I have no problem putting all of my motherfucking evidence out there because you can't change it. You can't change the truth. Okay? So I don't know what you're holding back. I don't know what the issue is here. You say that Brian Kohberger is the man. Brian Kohberger killed 4 kids in cold blood. Then he should never see the light of day again, right? And you know it, he's so guilty, blah, blah. There's so much, all this evidence against him. Where is it? Because I haven't seen it yet. In fact, I have an expert that's coming out telling people that there's exculpatory evidence that they didn't. If he is the one that's guilty and all of this shit gets thrown out because y'all didn't do your fucking jobs right, if I were these parents, I would be losing my mind. Losing my mind. Absolutely losing my mind. Because that's where this is headed. If he's the one. If he's the one, this shit's going to get tossed. And that's what's going to suck. But you know what they say? You rather let one, what do they say? You never want to put a guilty or an innocent man behind bars. You'd rather have some guilty people go free. Well, let's see if the FBI step up and do the right thing, or are they going to protect the house? When I say protect the house, I'm talking about protecting cast. A year. They only gave the United States of America the 2011, 2013. And this is important. Okay. I was saying that back how long ago? Because they knew what year Brian Kohberger's car was. They already had his name. This is so sick. Therefore, they already ran him. Already knew that he was pulled over twice. Already had those body cams. Already had gone through that. Okay? So much so that the investigation that says, okay, let's go look at these knives. Where were they bought and purchased? Okay? Who purchased them? All right? So the reason that Ann Taylor, in my opinion, wants to know the application for these search warrants is because was Brian Kohberger's name on the application for the search warrants in any of the knives? I want to know that. Okay? How are you going to go and get Amazon to turn it over to you of anybody that has purchased that knife? Exactly! Fuck! You think you could just get search warrants like that? Why do you think Ann Taylor says that there were suspects before? Because I guarantee you names were attached to search warrants like this. That sheath. How is that not an invasion of a complete, like, that is so wide span that I don't think that you're going to be able to get a search warrant like that. Oh,
Okay.
God, Lana. How do you get a search warrant like that? So this is why Ann Taylor wanted to see every search warrant. She wanted the recordings of every search warrant. She wanted to know how the fuck you were obtaining shit, right? And then now she wants to know, listen, we get it. You guys did a investigation within an investigation because you use a federal grand jury to help facilitate your investigation because you could do more stuff, okay? Well, we want to see the 71 subpoenas and search warrants. You want to see the dates. You want to see when you applied for things. And this is what I'm saying. And I was saying it back then. What are the dates on all of this shit? What are the dates? When did you get the name Brian Kohberger? When was that name turned in as a tip? Now, the last couple minutes here, I want to talk about the names. Gary Tolleson, Danny Vargas, and Gunderson. Why are these names important? Well, these are the names that Ann Taylor asked for training records. There was 120 people, 120 investigators, 120 agents on this case. And Ann Taylor said, I'm not asking for everybody. I'm asking for 3 people, Tolleson, Vargas, and Gunderson. Now, Ann Taylor, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to bring us back to the year 2023, June 15th, 2023. Hector, if you would do me the honors, Hector. Sure, sounds good, Lana. Thanks. Let's see. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you. All right, let's back out on this. Now let's go here. Okay. Okay. Bring her in. She's ready. Thank you, love. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Okay. All right. Right here. This was in 2022, this filing, June 15th. And it was defendant's second motion to compel discovery. Okay. And in this, Ann Taylor was asking for very specific things, and it was unsealed. So I want to show you guys this. I'll make it as big as possible. I'm going to zoom in. All right, so let's go remind ourselves what Ann Taylor, look at how long ago she was asked. This is a motion to compel. She asked for this stuff back in February. Okay. Mr. Kohberger, so here it is. Brian Kohberger comes through with his, the state has provided a significant amount of discovery and has provided written responses to the discovery requests. However, certain requests remain outstanding. As such, Mr. Kohberger requests an order for the state to disclose page 1. Oh, that's page 3. Where the? Oh, that's why, because it's on the reverse side. There's page 2. The following items included in defendant's first and second supplemental requests. Okay. So request number 1. Remember, he was asking for investigative reports and conclusions from all cell phone analysis, including but not limited to any analysis conducted by police agencies, FBI, CAS, team, or other Idaho authorities. Do you understand that Brian Kohberger did not have this and still, think about this, 5/30/2024. He was asking for this in February to, let's just put 1/2023. So you guys can understand, did not have it. Okay. We just had a huge motion about this, or a hearing about this literally at the end of May. because they like still did not turn that over. So Ann Taylor on it from jump, knowing what she needs, because that's what they used to arrest her client. Like, where is this shit? So, boom. Then, request for all footage provided to forensic examiners with FBI used to identify and make the model of the vehicle. Where are we today? Same thing. Who does she ask? Hey, Payne, who brought you the 700 block video? Do you remember his answer was? Vargas. Now does it ding, ding, ding? Lana, check, check. Check, check. Why do you think she wanted Danny Vargas's training records? She wanted to know where the 700 block video, surveillance video came from. Payne doesn't hesitate like he did the whole hearing. Oh, Vargas got that. Okay. Ready? Wait for it. We're going to come back. The state has responded by listing page numbers and audio video file numbers of information and data provided to the defense in discovery. As of June 13th, 2023, counsel for Mr. Kohberger has not received any investigative reports and conclusions of the analysis of this data conducted by police agencies. Then, requesting all footage provided to forensic examiners with FBI used to identify make and model of the vehicle. Where are we today? We still don't have that motherfucking shit. And Backseat Bill said he was ready to go to trial. When was that? He wanted to go to trial last summer, wasn't it? Or was it this past summer? Oh, it was this summer, 2024. He thought he can go to trial. They still don't have this. And it's 2024. Did he think he was just going to go through trial without this? Again, all reports, all this shit. No. And then I'm reminding everybody here, Payne asks this question, or Payne is asked this question by Ann about the state has responded by listing various page numbers, blah, blah. But here she goes. She asks this specific question. They do not provide any reports generated, communications, and documents relating to the change in year of the White Elantra. You see that? That's absolutely unfucking believable. Here we are today, 5/30, 2024. Okay. So she asked it then, and now here, 5/30, 2024. Literally. Where's the documentation on the year change? They all just look at each other. Request 17. Please see, she didn't want to talk about that. Then I want to talk about this. Request 109, identity of FBI special agent that is a member of the cellular analysis survey team that was consulted with to determine locations of the cell phone from. So you want to sit here and tell me that, so I have a bet now, not sure if Cyree can ever answer this, but one day he will be able to answer this. And I want to know when Ann Taylor wrote this up, if he was on the team, because look at this question. Request 109, identity of FBI special agent that is a member of the cellular analysis survey team that was consulted with to determine locations of the cell phone from 11/12 and 11/13 and all CAS certification records and training records for the involved agents. Okay. They knew all of this then. You understand? Then we get to my favorite part of the document. My favorite part of the document is when they're asking for this. So look at this. Ann Taylor is asking for this, number 5. Okay? Let's see what the answer is by the state. The state objected to this request for the reason that this is outside the scope of the criminal rules number 16 of criminal discovery. To the extent that the state intends to offer expert testimony, it will comply. Mr. Kohberger disagrees, as this information was largely relied upon in various warrants. You guys see this? You guys see where we're headed here? You guys want to know what the Franks is all about? The Franks hearing? This is what it's all about. Franks is when you're going to get shit thrown. Mr. Kohberger disagrees with the state's position, right? Because this information that we're asking for it's what was largely relied upon in various warrants, including the arrest warrant. Remember I said I wanted to know what Mathis was talking about? Information relied upon to secure search and arrest warrants is necessary to conduct analysis of Fourth Amendment issues. Further, the entirety of the information could include materials required under Brady, baby. Motherfucker. Wow. She knew. They knew. They knew that there was Brady in those fucking non-existent data points that they didn't turn over. They knew it then. And the state knew it then. And so you got to ask yourself, what was going on and what was the state doing? What was the media doing? Because I'm going to do a nice little fucking breakdown of what the media did after this happened. This was after, remember, Ann Taylor then just went ham when she got screwed out of her preliminary hearing. She started filing like crazy, and that's why this was unsealed. And I thank her for it, because I'm over here being able to show everybody why everything that I was saying in the beginning was 100% correct. But now we can even go back and look and say, wow, they still don't have this shit, and people are wondering why there's not a trial yet. Turn it over. Turn it over. And the defense is absolutely correct. The FBI doesn't prevent you from getting things. They just make you go through the process of a TUI because they don't want their agents running around with this work product, just tossing it out. We want to keep what we've done. We want a record of where it's going, when it's going. What's wrong with that? The FBI doesn't prevent you from getting something. They just want it to be documented. Okay? So the FBI doesn't put things in place for, oh, we can't get that. We can't get that. We can't get that. Remember when Judge Judd says, not even with a TUI, like you just ask for it. A TUI, then they get it, they give it to you. They just have to keep their records documented as well. Now, request 7. Request 6. Requests 120 and 140 from what they had already submitted. All tips received by law enforcement relating to this case. Remember the tip line? All tips. The state has provided various tips throughout the discovery. However, they are scattered in pieces throughout the discovery. A complete and chronological list of all the tips has not been provided. Because remember, they told all of us that they vetted every single tip. Do y'all remember that? Every single tip, it gets vetted. It's da-da-da, it's da-da-da, it's da-da-da. Well, I can tell you that if you're doing all that, then you definitely have a really good process, which would require an Excel spreadsheet. Excel spreadsheet will say the day that the tip came in, who then vetted it, what'd they do? You know what I mean? Like, who took the tip? How did they vet it? Like, come on. I don't think that that's impossible at all, especially early on. Now, wait, Lena, but you said that they flooded their tip line for a reason. They absolutely did. And this is why. Now, number 7. Request 136. I am requesting all audio recordings related to all search warrants obtained in this manner. I fucking love you, Anne. I love your team. I love it. I love it. And she caught them with their pants around their ankles back then because she says, well, their team, when I say she, it's Ann and Co. Ann and Co says, the state has responded that they are attempting to obtain this information. If it exists, the state will comply with the request upon receipt. The defense has been has been provided with a photograph of a DVD entered into evidence as item 435. It is labeled as SW audio. And unless that stands for Shanann fucking Watts, it stands for search warrant audios. Okay? There is also a notation that this disc was copied to county on 1/13/2023. If it exists. This shit exists, number one. Number two, they come back swinging and saying, there's a picture of the DVD. We want it. And trust me, that does not stand for Shanann Watts. Search warrants. And the reason that you guys are here today should be right here, number 8. Ready? Number 8. Request 164. Body cam, recordings, notes, photographs, and all information collected at the autopsies by Tolleson, Vargas, and that's a spelling error, Gunderson. And this was a trick, in my opinion. The state responded that they do not have these items in its possession. Clarification is needed on if they exist and are still in the process or possession of another agency. You know what they came back with and said? That these items do not exist. That these fucking people were at this autopsy to God, put their thumbs up their butts and just stand there. Tolleson, Vargas, Gunderson. Well, that's interesting. Because guess whose training records Ann Taylor wanted? Tolleson, Vargas, and Gunderson. But I got more for you. I went back and I grabbed this order. Now, do you guys remember how some of the stuff that was going on back in June, it had closed doors? Closed doors meaning they had hearings that we weren't allowed to be at. You guys remember that? Okay. Well, 6/30/2023, after that filing. Order on defendant's motion to compel discovery. Now, this is awesome. So, Ann Taylor puts Payne up on the stand and sneaks in a question and asks about the 700 block video. And I just swear, I think Ann Taylor just tries to give me bones. And she's like, Lana will go ahead and she'll get it and she'll know what I'm talking about. Well, Ann, I've been a little busy, but a couple nights ago, when was it? I plan on doing this live on Thursday. Today's Sunday. So it was before Thursday. I found something. And I was like, I think I need to tell the world about this. So I'm telling the world about this. Ready? This is what Judge says. And boy, do I love him for this. On May 4th, 2023, defendant Brian C. Kohberger filed the motion to compel. And it was stemming from defendant's second supplemental request for discovery filed on March 24th, 2023. The same date, basically, that everything broke hell loose with Bethany and saying Bethany has exculpatory evidence. Oral argument on the motion was heard on June 27th, 2023. Kohberger was represented, obviously we know that. The state was represented by, obviously we know that. At the outset of the hearing, the parties informed the court that, hey, we had reached an agreement on all issues except the request 160. So I said to myself, 160. I said, that's what I need. See how this has 164 and it has to do with body cam, all this stuff. It says Tolleson, Vargas, Gunderson will request 160. We never got to hear about. And I was like, oh my God, that means 160, probably 161, 162, 163, and 164. I bet you all of those pertain to these motherfuckers. Because why would you jump around? That would just be stupid. So, okay. Unless Judge is just an idiot and he got the wrong request down. But request 160 asked the state to provide to defendant training records of 3 specific law enforcement officers. Okay. So then I was like, no, it's perfect because that doesn't, like, he didn't get it wrong because 160 was that. Idaho Criminal Rule 16b4 states that papers and documents that are material to the preparation of the defense that are in the possession, custodio, blah, 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 right? So he's citing the rule. Then he says, be made available to the defendant where the defendant shows a substantial need in the preparation of the defendant's case for additional material or information not otherwise covered by Rule 16, and that the defendant is unable without undue hardship to obtain the substantial equivalent by other means. Well, during oral argument, the defense argued that it needs the training records of the 3 specific officers identified in the request to understand the processes and methods the officers utilized. This is so good. This is so fucking good because I'm going to tell you about Gary Tolleson. Ready? We need to understand the processes and methods that these officers utilized. Specifically, the defense wants to see what training these officers have received in interviewing witnesses and collecting and evaluating evidence. The defense argued that these 3 officers identified each played a critical role in the investigation of this case. Think about that. Okay, Danny Vargas, Gunderson, Shane Gunderson, and Gary Tolleson. I thought about that. And I'm like, shit, Danny Vargas, it's a female. She was just becoming a detective. Okay. Gunderson, he was, remember, one of the first kind of responders, you know? And then, wow, ISP Detective Tolleson, who was co-lead basically in the Brian Drake case. That's how I ever found the case, because I was researching the shit out of these 3 people. Okay. I could tell you so much about these 3 people's lives you don't even want to know. And I'm very interested in the real estate agents that people are related to, date, fuck. Anyways, always comes back to banging real estate people. So, now this is the bomb part right here, because then I took Payne's, what he testified to. The defense argued that the 3 officers identified each played critical role. One officer, Judge does not say the name, but one officer interviewed witnesses at the scene of the crime and worked on the search for a specific car of interest. I fucking went nuts, and I'm saying, okay, I now believe that this person, based off of Payne's testimony, is who? Ding, ding, ding. Danny Vargas, because she said, where did you guys get the 700 block video? Where did this even come from? This is so way away from the crime scene. This is not even in the area that you guys were looking for. Oh, Danny Vargas went and got it. She got that video. Whoa. Okay. So I believe that this officer is Vargas. If Payne's not lying, okay? Now, the second officer interviewed key witnesses expected to testify at trial. The defense expects to subpoena this officer for trial. Well, we're down to either Gunderson or Tolleson. And I believe that that's going to be Gunderson. Okay. The second officer interviewed key witnesses expected to testify at trial. The defense is supposed to subpoena this officer for trial. I'm going to tell you why. Finally, the third officer conducted multiple interviews of key witnesses after Kohberger was arrested, attended the victims' autopsies, and made decisions about the tips provided to law enforcement warranted further investigating. So this person decided what would be investigated and what wouldn't be investigated. You think that Gunderson is going to have that unless he was literally in charge of Moscow Police Department's tips? But either way you slice and dice it, this officer, it's either going to be Tolleson here or Tolleson there, Gunderson there, back and forth. But I thought about that for a minute. And I thought about the Brian Drake case then for a minute. And I said, well, fuck, they buried tips in the Brian Drake case. Fuck, they're being hella shit. But more importantly, you're deciding, remember when they said, like, we're vetting all the tips? You're deciding what you're going to investigate and what you're not going to investigate. And how did you determine that? And that's a very valid, like, when these tips were coming in, why weren't you investigating them? Or were you? And if you were, where's any of the reports? But when you don't have a suspect in a case like this until the tail end of when you arrested this person, when you're investigating a murder or four, wouldn't you think that, like, it would be so relevant to know why these detectives went right instead of left? And then once they went left, why they went left again instead of right? The fuck's going on here? And it's the same thing that happened in the Brian Drake case. It's like, what the fuck are y'all doing? It would have taken you calling up Kootenai County Dispatch and finding out that Jennifer Drake did not make a 911 call that day. You don't think to inquire more about that? Well, that's all on Gary Tolleson, right? He's with Idaho State Police. So here, Ann Taylor was really specific. She wanted these three people, and it pertained to everything in the beginning. Look at this. The first officer interviewed witnesses at the scene of the crime and worked on the search of a specific car of interest. I'll be shocked if that one isn't Vargas. Only because what it could be is that could be Idaho State Police and that they were working with what? But Payne attributed that vehicle at the 700 block to Vargas. So it'd be interesting if he just messed up or doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But you come back to these three people, and Ann Taylor is like, what the hell were these people doing? Or, we know that you interviewed X, Y, and Z. Where are the reports? Like that I wanted of Isaac Funderburg, of Aaliyah Sandlin, of the coffee shop people. All the things that should be there that aren't there in that case. And that was in 2020. So then you fast forward to 2022, and here Ann Taylor's having the same basically questions of where is this shit? So that's where I will leave everybody on this lovely Saturday. But the state had an issue. And Ann Taylor said, I'm not asking for 120 people's records. I'm asking for these three people. These three people who are extremely relevant, who we're subpoenaing, we're calling them to the stand. Think about that. And if you want to see the beginning of the live, here it is. Wait, what was that? This guy, I want him on my channel. Get that man on my channel. I fucking love
Dan,
you.
There's so much in this case that we don't know. Just a month ago, we were saying that Moscow Police Department was the most incompetent police
Sherry D, I love
department in
your
the
ass.
country, and then a month later, hailed as geniuses. Let's let the process work.
I guess
I'm complaining about any conflict.
I was taking Mom at her word. I'm so sorry we didn't get more time with you. Thanks for joining us more on Ashley.
I was taking Mom at her word.
Thank you for watching.
Oh, that's right. When people do not fit your agenda or your narrative, they are silenced by mainstream media. Instead of having a debate there, which was, I thought would have been pretty good, Dan Abrams bowed out and kind of insulted his guest. But Xana's mom flat out lied. You guys, it comes to fruition that was not the case. And my sources say that she got paid by mainstream media. Ann Taylor and backseat Bill Thompson agreed to push the preliminary hearing, remember, to the date in June of 2023. During January to May of 2023, Ann Taylor was pleading with backseat Bill Thompson and Judge to get their hands on the discovery that actually mattered in this case, the discovery that law enforcement investigators used to focus and build a case against Bryan Kohberger. Ann Taylor is no stranger to law enforcement corruption or law enforcement's inability to investigate without tunnel vision or sloppy, loose-ended work product. So much so that she immediately went out to the crime scene and hired experts as well as a private investigator. AT, for example, December 9, 2022, 1122 King Road. Here we go. For example, the sloppy loose lips sink ships.
Less than an hour ago, we were here, and about 5 plainclothes investigators, we don't know if they're local, state, federal, they were inside, and we saw a lot of activity inside the home, and the home was lit up. So we were able to peek in some of the windows, but we saw those men inside the home in the 2 particular rooms where the murders took place. We did not see them leaving with any materials. I asked them a couple of times, why are they back? They did not answer me. They pulled away in 2 vehicles. One had a Washington state plate. The other had an Idaho plate. But that is all we can tell you. But we did see a lot of activity. This house was lit up for nearly an hour. They were inside. We don't know why. Nothing seemed to be removed. But as you know, Ashley, yesterday, a lot of the kids' belongings were removed by Moscow police to be returned to their...
No one notified her, Taylor. No one notified.
Oh, I was fucking muted. God damn it. Oh, all right. What I said was, Chief Fry, the state has just broke their silence. Chief Fry will not testify. He will not testify. The state is not calling Chief Fry, and they think life is fine. But Chief Fry did drive the U-Haul. So want to let everybody know that in the latest docs, the state says, we don't care what Chief Fry has said, has done. We don't intend on calling the motherfucker. Oh, okay. Well, Remember, guys, he was the U-Haul driver.
Field office that's partially from Washington, maybe an FBI field office from the Idaho area. But did you ask if they were from FBI or what jurisdiction? And they just said, nothing to see here?
Yeah, they would give me nothing. And I did call Moscow police, no answer, no response. So no explanation for any of this, but they were clearly inside on a mission.
I mean, 25 days of processing a crime scene, to me, it's something I haven't really seen unless it's, a massive school shooting.
She just said 25 days processing a crime scene while they're taking shit out of the crime scene and just giving it away. Okay.
That could take 25 days because there's just so many victims and so much territory and so many markings. This one is a really unusual complexity. I can only think it's because there's just so many samples in that house over the years and over the times that the kids have been there that they just, I'm still shocked they only have 113 pieces of evidence. Nancy, thank you for getting that video and for being the eagle eye and spotting that. I really do appreciate it. Thanks so much.
And we should point out that a lot of the forensic evidence went to the state lab, and that is still being tested.
Actually, it went to the FBI, motherfucker. The important shit. FBI.
The blood is the blood mixed DNA is the killer's DNA being tested. So there's a lot of information and evidence that's being tested now. And the Moscow Police Department kept stressing that, we're not releasing a lot of information because we're protecting the integrity of the investigation, a term we keep hearing. So
that's my effort to say, capiche. Okay.
A lot of
ridiculous. Law enforcement was building their case, one without any notes, memos, or work product. Fucking A. Build this. Now, let me show you my case, the one I have built with common sense, logic, in a side of the documents. The documents that we've all been given to include all of the sources and info that has been published to date. Wow. Absolutely ridiculous. First, Brian's cell phone number. I have a problem with this one. Why and how did he get a Washington number when he would have got his new phone in June, which he would have been in Pennsylvania for, before he left for Washington? Why not keep the same number? I see if you want to get a new phone, but a new account. Are we sure that the PCA phone for Brian isn't a work-issued phone? According to the PCA, they only searched that number because that is what he gave to law enforcement on a traffic stop. I've never given my phone number on a traffic stop. Sorry. Remember at 11:13, that's the crime. 11:14 was your canvas, your interview at the crime scene in shock. Took evidence to ISP lab. 11:15, still no search warrants were issued in this case. 11:16, first press conference and first search warrants, Facebook Insta cell towers. All right, guys, welcome to the transparency. The PCA that we have known and can probably recite inside and out, yes, are things in there, events that took place? Absolutely. But is that a chronological order of how they went about this case? Absolutely not. And in fact, today I'm putting out the PCA and the way that they actually went about finding Brian Kohberger and being able to work backwards once given a name. So between 11:20 and 11:24, Brian Kohberger's name was given by whoever allegedly did this IGG work. If there was any work ever done, if they just went ahead and said that there was work done and they were going to hide behind that, and then, just go ahead and say, here, this is the person, by submitting a tip, by just saying, look into this person, we did IGG on it, but you can't talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And that is so evident if you pay attention to search warrants that were performed between 11:16 and 11:23. Once 11:25 hits, the day after Thanksgiving, the investigation moves and is done in a completely different fashion. All right, so let's take a look. That is exactly what Ann Taylor is saying. when she wants to know who was making these decisions to go right when everything's telling you to go left. Here it is. Brian Kohberger's name is given up by the tip, and then they decide, okay, obviously, which I believe was between 11, what I say, it was before 11:24. 11, I think I said it was between like 11:20 and 11:24 that they knew. So we're going to go ahead and Google this name. What's about him? Okay, he goes, he's a PhD student at, obviously Washington. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put out, what does he drive? When you Google his name, you're going to come up with, okay, this is who he is. We're going to run him through our database. Okay, he was pulled over. He was pulled over in Washington. He was pulled over here. We're going to watch the body cams. All right, we're going to get his name. We're going to get his number through the body cams. We're going to see if anybody else was riding with him. We're going to start, looking on his, Insta, Facebook, all this stuff. Everything that allegedly an IGG person would have done, okay? It would have been handing to them. Okay, because if you're going to do a tip, and you just say, okay, the name Brian Kohberger. Okay, what I mean by what an IGG person would have done. When you're doing investigative genealogy, you are using like resources like social media, okay? So they would have been able to supply, when you would have been researching to get all that, you would have had that. That's what that's about when I say like what an IGG person would have done. You investigate people and connect dots with people from actually social media is a big thing. Like, who is he? How is he connected to anybody anybody in this game? You got to do some type of like, you got to start searching this person. Okay, why should we be looking into him? We're over here supposed to be focused on boyfriends and girlfriends and family and tight-knit circles. But you want us to focus in on this Brian Kohberger guy. You gave it to us because you said it was a hit on the sheath, okay? So then, but you got to work yourself backwards because you're not going to be able to use us. So how can we put a PCA together to hide the fact on how to hide the fact that we violated all of America's rights, use this loophole, if and in fact we even used a loophole versus just go ahead and framing somebody. But how can we do this and it look like it's legit? Working backwards. Well, how I was able to realize all of this is because of the way that the investigation was going, and then all of a sudden you're going and you're hammering the knife. Okay, we didn't know this in real time. We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. Once we were able to get all the search warrants, I put it together and you can follow and see why and where they were headed. And immediately they went for these knives. The Amazon, we want all the knife information on this specific, brand and sheath and all that stuff. The date that they did it, 11/26. Okay, 11/26. That could have been bought anywhere. That could have been upon that. But here, that's what they're focused in on. Then they wait until they get that return back, which is not until 12/8. After they do Amazon, they go to K-Bar itself, on 11/29. Then the big thing that they do is that they know what vehicle Brian Kohberger drives. So we're going to go and tell Washington that we're on the lookout for that type of vehicle. We'll get these, detectives / campus security people just helping out, not realizing what the heck we're doing. Then they'll bring us yet another tip in. Yep, here we came across this, and they're going to be connecting our dots for us, and everyone's just going to think that we're doing police work here. Nothing to see. So let me break that down for you one more time. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Take care. Until next time. Love you all. Peace. Thank you, moderators, members, subscribers. Like it, share it. Use the comment section. Tell me what you guys think. Taking us back. This was January of 2023. It's now, like I said, August of 2024. So this is a whole year and a half ago. This is what I was screaming from the rooftops. Yeah, that's it. And make sure you guys look under your cats tonight. You never know if there's going to be a knife sheath.